Good morning, dear students. Today we are going to start with a new chapter of physical chemistry, that is solid state. So, in this we will see properties of solid state, two type of solids, that is crystalline and amorphous solid, and we will deal with the different classification of crystalline solids. So let's start. In solid state, we will see the properties of solid. General characteristic of solids. You know from junior classes about the characteristic of solids. First one, they have definite mass, volume and shape. Second, their intermolecular distances are short, means they are very compactly arranged. You can see in the figure, they are arranged very compactly. Particles are arranged at very short distances. Their intermolecular force of attraction are strong. As the particles are very close to each other, means their bonds are very strong. Next, their constituent particles have fixed positions and can only oscillate about their mean position. It means they have the least kinetic energy. So, the constituent particle, whether they are ions, atoms or molecules, they have the fixed position. They cannot move from their position. And last, they are incompressible and rigid. You cannot compress the solid particles much. That's why they are hard and rigid. Amorphous and crystalline solid. In this chapter, you have to deal with the crystalline solid mostly, but solids are classified into two categories. First, that is amorphous, and second, crystalline. Crystalline solids and amorphous solid. So solids are classified as the crystalline and the amorphous on the basis of nature of order present in the arrangement of the constituent particles. A crystalline solid usually consists of large number of small crystals, and each of them having a definite characteristic geometrical shape, means they have the regular pattern. In a crystal, the arrangement of the constituent particle, whether they are atom, molecules or ions, is ordered, means in a regular manner. It has a long range order, means if you will see the particles, they will arrange regularly over a long distance. That's why we are calling it as the symmetrical at long range order. They have a regular pattern or the arrangement of particles which repeat itself periodically over the entire crystal. So the arrangement is regular throughout the crystal. When we talk about the amorphous solid consists of the particles of irregular shape. You can see here the irregularity in the particle, and in the first one you can see the regularity. So first one is the showing the regularity, but regularity at only short distances, not regularity over a long period. So the arrangement of the constituent particles in such solids have short range order. They can arrange in a regular manner but only at a short distance. In such arrangement, a regular and periodically repeating pattern is observed at short distance only. Such portions are scattered, and in between the arrangement is disorder. That is the amorphous. Crystalline solids have sharp melting point because at a particular temperature all the particles will start melting because they are arranged compactly and regularly in case of crystalline. Instead, in amorphous, the arrangement is irregular, random. So, here in case of crystalline solid, they have the sharp melting point. But amorphous solids, they have the range of temperature. For example, crystalline solids can melt at 200 degrees Celsius. But in case of amorphous, they have a range. Means from 190 to 210 degree centigrade they will melt. So they have a range of the temperature. But here they have the sharp melting point. On heating, crystalline solids, they become crystalline at some temperature, like glass object from ancient civilization. They are come under the category of solid, and you know that they become milky after a long period of time because of crystallization. Amorphous solids have a tendency to flow, and this is the reason why glass flow. And if you will take the example of glass, so glass after some time, from the bottom side it becomes broad, and from the upper side it becomes thinner. So these solids are called pseudo-solid or supercooled liquid. So glass is an example of amorphous solid, or we call it as the supercooled liquid. Crystalline solids are anisotropic in nature. This is the very important property, that crystalline solids are anisotropic in nature. And that is some of their physical properties like electrical resistance or refractive index show different values when measured along different direction in the same crystal. For example, when we talk about the anisotropic, you know this is the crystalline solid. So all the arrangement are regular. Now all are arranged, but when you will see the property at different direction. For example, if I will say this direction, so in this direction you can see all the red color particles. If you will see in this direction, so all the blue color particles you can see. Diagonally you can see the alternate red blue, right? So it means from this you can imagine that at different direction the properties get different because the arrangement of particles get different. This arises from the different arrangement of the particle in different direction. Since the arrangement of particle is different along the different direction, and the value of the same physical property gets changed. So all the crystalline solids are anisotropic in nature. Their physical property are different in different direction. Anisotropic means physical properties are different in different direction. Amorphous solids on the other hand are isotropic in nature. You know this, that arrangement of the particles are random, haphazard way. So their properties are already, their molecules or atoms or ions are arranged irregularly. So if you will see from any angle, they are irregular only, whether left to right, right to left, diagonally, every time it is irregular, no regular arrangement. So it is irregularity is same in every direction. That's why we are calling it as the isotropic. It is because there is no long range order in them, and arrangement is regular along all the direction. That's why crystalline solids are anisotropic, while amorphous solids are isotropic in nature. So here you can see the difference between the amorphous and crystalline solid, that definite characteristic geometrical shape or regular shape, amorphous having irregular shape. Melting point, they have sharp melting point. Crystalline solids have sharp melting point. Amorphous solid melt over a range of temperature. When we talk about the cleavage, so in case of crystalline solids, when we cut with a sharp edge tool, they split into two pieces, and the newly generated surfaces are plain and smooth. But in case of amorphous, the cutting of the two pieces will be irregular. When we talk about heat of fusion, it is related with the melting point. They have a definite characteristic heat of fusion, while amorphous, they do not have the definite because they melt over a range of temperature. So heat of fusion is also not definite. anisotropic in nature, crystalline solids, while amorphous solids are isotropic in nature. Crystalline solids are known as true solids, while amorphous solids are known as pseudo-solids or supercooled liquid. They have long range order of arrangement and amorphous solids have short range of arrangement. In this chapter, we are going to deal with the crystalline solids only. And amorphous solids, you can see the example like glass. Glass is the amorphous solid. Now, classification of crystalline solid. When we talk about classification of crystalline solids, they are divided into 4. Molecular solids, ionic solids, metallic solids, and covalent solids. This classification is based on the nature of their intermolecular forces, and you know very well, in case of molecular solid, the force of attraction is dipole-dipole interaction, hydrogen bonding, or van der Waals forces. In case of ionic solids, they are having the ionic bond, or you can call it as electrostatic force of attraction. Next is the metallic solid, in which metal bonds are there. And the last one is the covalent solid. It means covalent bonds are there. So 4 type of the crystalline solids are there. You can see in the diagram also. And we will see the properties of these 4. First one is the molecular solid. When we talk about molecular solid, they are further classified into non-polar molecular solids, non-polar molecular solids, polar molecular solids, and hydrogen bonded molecular solid. So molecular solids have three categories: polar, non-polar, and hydrogen bonded. When we talk about non-polar molecular solid, these solids are soft and non-conductor of electricity. They have low melting point and usually in liquids or gaseous state at room temperature and pressure. They are held by the weak London or van der Waals forces. It means in case of non-polar molecules, the force of attraction are van der Waals force of attraction. Second is the polar molecules, in which poles are there, like HCl. When I say HCl, you know it is having partial positive and partial negative poles. So in these molecules, the substance, they are formed by the polar covalent bonds. Molecule in such solids are held together by the strong dipole-dipole interactions. These solids are soft, very soft, non-conductor of electricity. Their melting points are higher than the non-polar. Because of the polar nature, their melting points are more. But most of these are gases or liquid at room temperature. Examples are HCl and SO2, you can see here. Third type of molecular solid is hydrogen bonded. As the name indicates, the force of attraction will be hydrogen bonding. Molecules of such solid contain polar covalent bonds between hydrogen and any other electronegative atom, which is a condition for the hydrogen bonding. So strong hydrogen bonding binds the molecule of such solid like water. So you know this is the water molecule in which oxygen is partially negative and hydrogen is partially positively charged. They are non-conductor of electricity and generally they are volatile liquids or soft solids under room temperature and pressure. So these are the 3 molecular solid: polar, non-polar, and hydrogen bonded. You can see here molecular solids, that is water in the form of ice. water. Now we'll see about the ionic solid. In this, the constituent particles are ions. And such solids are formed by three-dimensional arrangement of the cation and the anion, bonded by the electrostatic force of attraction. These solids are hard and brittle in nature, as we know very well. They have high melting boiling points. Since the ions are not free to move about, they are electrical insulator in the solid state. But when they are in the aqueous state, when they dissolve in water, or when they are in the molten state, then they conduct the electricity. It means ionic solids are insulators in the solid state at room temperature. But in the aqueous and molten phase, they can conduct electricity. This is the example of the ionic solid. You can see here, this is Na and Cl. Size of Na plus, that is cation, is smaller in size than the anion. You know it very well. So when the crystal will be formed, then the anion, which is the negative charge, it will form the packing. They will come together, and whatever the space left over in between, you can see the vacant space, green color. This vacant space get embedded by the cation, which is smaller in size. So here you can see the structure or crystal lattice of the NaCl. Third type of solid is the metallic solid. In the metallic solid, metals are there, which are the orderly collection of positive ions, surrounded by and held together by the sea of free electron. You know very well, metal means which will remove the electron and form the positive charge. So metal are positively charged with the sea of free electron, because every time electrons will be removed when we will get the metal ion. These electrons are mobile and evenly spread out throughout the crystal, and because of the presence of these electrons, metallic solids are good conductor of electricity. Each metal atom contributes one or more electron toward this sea of mobile electron. These free or mobile electrons are responsible for the high electrical and thermal conductivity of the metals. When an electric field is applied, these electrons flow through the network of positive ions. Similarly, when heat is supplied to one portion of metal, then thermal energy is uniformly spread throughout the free electron. One more characteristic of metal is that they have luster and color in few cases, not in all. For example, when I say copper, then you know the copper is having particular color, iron is having particular color, zinc having particular color, magnesium having particular color. This is due to the presence of free electron in them, and metals are highly malleable and ductile. This you know very well. Properties of metallic solid means they are malleable and ductile. Covalent or network solid. Covalent solids are also known as network solid. You can see a few examples of covalent solid: diamond, graphite. Wide variety of crystalline solid of non-metal result from the formation of covalent bond between the adjacent atom throughout the crystal. They are also called the giant molecules. Covalent bonds are strong and directional in nature. So, the atoms are held strongly at their position. Such solids are very hard and brittle, and they have extremely high melting point and even decompose before melting. They are insulators and do not conduct electricity, but the conduction starts in some critical cases. And some exceptions are also there, like graphite. All of you know very well, graphite is a covalent network solid, but it can conduct electricity, because in case of graphite, Each carbon is bonded with 3 other carbon atoms. But the fourth valency is free, and this free electron is responsible for the conductivity of graphite. We can see diamond and graphite as a comparison. Diamond has a crystalline lattice and each carbon has sp3 hybridization because they are bonded with a single bond with other carbon atom, and carbon-carbon bond length is 154 picometer. When you will see the structure of graphite, this diamond structure and graphite you have done in class 10th also. Graphite having layered structure, having van der Waals attraction. Each carbon is sp2 hybridized and fourth electrons forms the bond, and because of this it is slippery and conduct electricity. Now crystal lattice and unit cell. When I say crystal lattice, it means the whole crystal of a particular solid, and unit cell, it means the smallest unit by which the whole crystal form. Here you can have the comparison of brick and a wall or a brick and a house. For example, if I say brick, then this brick is a unit cell. And with the help of brick, when we arrange the brick in a particular way or direction, then we can form a wall. And similarly, we can form a building. So, the whole wall and the building is the crystal lattice, while a single brick is known as the unit cell. So, here you will see a whole crystal lattice like NaCl form the whole crystal lattice. But the repeating unit to form the NaCl is the unit cell. The main characteristics of the crystalline solids is a regular and repeating pattern of the particle. If three-dimensional arrangement are there, you can see x-axis, y-axis and z-axis. In along the three axis, if the arrangement is there, then it is the three-dimensional network in which each particle is depicted as a point, and the arrangement is called the crystal lattice. A regular three-dimensional arrangement of points in a space is called crystal lattice. So there are 14 possible three-dimensional lattices. We call it as the Bravais lattice, in which the A, B and C are different, as well as the angle between them, that is alpha, beta and gamma, are also changed. So we can form 14 Bravais lattice. When we talk about a lattice, each point in a lattice is called lattice point or lattice site. Each point in a crystal represents one constituent particle, which may be atom, molecule or ion. For example, if I say crystal lattice, if this is the crystal lattice, right? So if the particles are here, the circle I am representing is the particle. So these particles may be atom, molecules or ions. Lattice points, so this is the lattice point. Lattice points are joined by the straight line to bring out the geometry of the lattice. You can see the circle, red circle, when I have joined, then you will get a lattice unit cell or the whole lattice. Now when we talk about the unit cell, you can see in the diagram about the unit cell, this is the whole crystal lattice. But that blue portion which is going to rearrange again and again repeatedly, we call it as the unit cell. Unit cell is characterized by the dimension in the three edges, that is A, B and C in three axes. You can elaborate it, x-axis, y-axis and z-axis. These edges may or may not be perpendicular to each other, and the angles between them. For example, this is the A, this is the B, this is the C. Now the angle between them are alpha, beta and gamma. So they can be same or different. Now we'll see the primitive and centered unit cell. Primitive unit cell, when the constituent particles are present only on the corner position of a unit cell, it is called primitive unit cell. And centered unit cell, when the constituent particles are at position other than the corner, at any position other than the corner, then they are centered. Means unit cell are classified into two, primitive unit cell and centered unit cell. So we will see the detail of both. Thank you and God bless you.